There is someone in your life right now who is secretly bankrupting you. They don't mean to. They probably love you. They might even be trying to help you succeed. But every time you get close to a breakthrough, every time money starts flowing, every time opportunity knocks, something happens. The deal falls through, the client disappears, the money slips away like water through your fingers, and you've been blaming yourself, blaming the economy, blaming bad luck. But the truth Florence Scovel-Shinn discovered more than a century ago is far more shocking. Some people, no matter how much they love you, carry a frequency that repels your prosperity like magnets with the same pole. Stop and think about this for a moment. When was the last time you felt truly abundant? When did money flow easily to you? When did opportunities appear without struggle? Now think carefully. Who wasn't in your life then? Or conversely, who entered your life right before things started getting harder financially? I'm not asking you to blame anyone. I'm asking you to observe a pattern that has been invisible until now. Right here, right now, I'm going to share something that will sound impossible until you test it for yourself. In the next 5 minutes, I will show you how to create what Florence called a frequency divorce, a way to separate your energy field from someone else's without ending the relationship, without confrontation, without drama. You can love them and protect your prosperity simultaneously. The tool is so simple, it's probably sitting in your kitchen right now, a glass of ordinary water. But first, let me tell you about Marlena from Phoenix, because her story might be your story. Marlena had been married to Derek for 11 years. She loved him deeply, but something strange had been happening. Before they met, she was thriving. She had her own successful consulting business, money in the bank, and opportunities seemed to find her everywhere. But slowly, year by year after their marriage, her income decreased. Clients became difficult. Projects fell through. She couldn't understand why her business instincts, which had been sharp as diamonds, now felt clouded and uncertain. Derek wasn't abusive. He didn't control her money. He encouraged her work. But Marlena began to notice something unsettling. Whenever she got excited about a new project, Derek would ask practical questions that felt like tiny puncture wounds in her enthusiasm. Are you sure they can pay? What if it doesn't work out? Maybe you should wait until things are more stable. He thought he was being helpful, protecting her from disappointment. But his fear-based frequency was creating a field around their home that abundance couldn't penetrate. The breaking point came on a Tuesday afternoon at 2:47 p.m. Marlena had just received a call about a 6-figure contract, the kind of opportunity she'd been waiting for years. She was trembling with excitement as she told Derek. His first words were, "That sounds too good to be true. What's the catch?" In that moment, she felt her excitement drain away like air from a punctured balloon. That night, the client called to say they'd decided to go with someone else. Marlena knew something had to change, but she didn't want to leave Derek. She loved him. Their problem wasn't about love, it was about frequency. That's when she discovered Florence's teaching about energetic incompatibility and learned the water ritual that changed everything. Within 43 hours of creating her frequency protection, that same client called back. There had been a mistake, they said. The other consultant had fallen through. Was she still available? Today, 3 years later, Marlena's business has tripled. Derek is still her husband, but she's learned to love him and protect her prosperity field simultaneously. She does the water ritual every single morning, creating what she calls her invisible boundary, a field that keeps love flowing in and fear flowing out. The glass of water sits on her nightstand every night, charged with intention, ready to protect her frequency the moment she wakes up. It takes her less than 2 minutes each morning, but those 2 minutes have been worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in protected prosperity. What you're about to learn is the exact ritual Marlena uses, the same technique Florence taught to her most trusted students, the ones who needed to prosper while surrounded by well-meaning people whose energy was accidentally destroying their abundance. Before we begin the ritual, understand this. What you're about to do is not about rejecting love or pushing people away. It's about creating energetic sovereignty, the ability to maintain your prosperity frequency regardless of who stands beside you. Florence Scovel. Shin taught that love and abundance are not mutually exclusive, but sometimes we must protect one to preserve the other. Before you begin, look below this video. You'll see other teachings flowing there, each one like a stream feeding into the same river of consciousness. If any of these resonate, receive them as additional tools for protecting and amplifying your energetic sovereignty. Nothing here demands your attention, but everything offers expansion. Florence always said, "The wise student builds their temple with many stones." Follow what calls to you, release what doesn't. The universe understands selective resonance. If something vibrates within you as you browse, know this. When you invest in your spiritual education, you're not just supporting this channel. You're declaring to the universe that you value your own transformation enough to invest in it. And that declaration alone shifts your frequency toward abundance. Take what resonates, leave what doesn't. The field responds to authentic choice, not obligation. Now gather what you need. 1 glass of clean water, nothing more. Sit somewhere you won't be interrupted for the next 8 minutes. This isn't just a visualization. This is a frequency intervention that begins the moment you touch that glass with intention. Hold the glass in both hands, feeling the cool surface against your palms. Close your eyes and take 3 deep breaths with me. First breath in through your nose for 4 counts, hold for 4, release through your mouth for 6. Feel your nervous system shifting from reactivity to receptivity. Second breath, same pattern, but this time imagine drawing in your own authentic frequency, your natural prosperity vibration. Third breath, longer and deeper, releasing any energy that isn't yours, any frequency that diminishes your light. Now, with your eyes still closed, speak these words directly into the water. This water protects my frequency. I am sovereign in love and abundant in spirit. No energy can diminish what flows through me. My prosperity field is mine alone. Speak slowly, with authority, not as a request, but as a declaration of spiritual law. Feel the water receiving your words. Science tells us that water holds memory, that it responds to vibration and intention. As you speak, imagine your voice creating ripples through every molecule, programming each drop to become a guardian of your energetic space. This water is now charged with the frequency of protection and sovereignty. Drink slowly, feeling each sip carrying this protection into your bloodstream, your cells, your energy field. With every swallow, whisper internally, "I am protected. I am sovereign. I prosper in love." By the time the glass is empty, you have created what Florence called a frequency fortress, invisible to others but impenetrable to energetic drain. Place the empty glass somewhere you'll see it throughout the day. Every time your eyes fall upon it, remember, you are protected. Your prosperity frequency is yours alone to give or withhold. You can love fully and prosper freely because you now maintain energetic boundaries that preserve both. This protection doesn't mean isolation. It means sovereignty. It means you can stand next to someone whose frequency naturally repels abundance and still maintain your own magnetic field. You can listen to their fears without absorbing them. You can love their wounded places without letting those wounds infect your prosperity consciousness. This is advanced spiritual maturity, the ability to love without losing yourself. From this moment forward, you are no longer at the mercy of other people's energy. You can be in the same room, the same bed, the same life with someone whose frequency operates differently than yours, and your abundance remains protected. The water ritual creates what Florence called selective permeability, open to love, closed to limitation. What you just experienced wasn't mere positive thinking or wishful ritual. You've engaged with one of the most sophisticated spiritual laws Florence Scovel Shinn ever taught, the law of energetic sovereignty. Most people believe that love requires total energetic merging, that to truly care for someone means absorbing their fears, sharing their limitations, taking on their struggles as your own. But Florence understood something revolutionary. You can love someone's soul without adopting their frequency. Think of it this way. Radio stations broadcast on different frequencies. You can appreciate that classical music exists on one station while choosing to listen to jazz on another. The classical station doesn't cease to exist because you're not tuned into it, and your enjoyment of jazz doesn't diminish the beauty of classical music. Energetic sovereignty works the same way. You can acknowledge and even honor someone's frequency while choosing to maintain your own. Florence discovered this principle while working with countless couples during the Great Depression. She noticed a peculiar pattern. Successful individuals would often marry partners who genuinely loved them, but whose energy fields operated like prosperity repellent. These weren't malicious people. They weren't trying to block abundance, but their unconscious programming, their inherited beliefs about money, their fear-based responses to opportunity, all of this created what she called frequency static around anyone who lived closely with them. She observed wives whose businesses flourished before marriage but withered afterward. Husbands whose career trajectory flattened the moment they moved in with partners who unconsciously feared success. It wasn't about the partners being bad people. It was about energetic incompatibility in the realm of prosperity consciousness. Two people could be perfectly compatible in love, humor, values, and life goals, but fundamentally mismatched in their relationship with abundance. The tragedy wasn't the incompatibility itself. It was that most people believed they had to choose between love and prosperity. Florence's innovation was discovering that you could have both, but only if you learned to maintain what she called selective energetic boundaries. You could merge your heart with someone while keeping your prosperity frequency sovereign and protected. Let me share what happened to Garrett from Milwaukee. He was a gifted architect who met and fell deeply in love with Linda, a social worker with a beautiful heart, but a lifelong belief that money corrupts good people. Linda never directly discouraged Garrett's ambitions, but her energy field carried such strong anti-wealth programming that it created a field of resistance around their home. After 2 years of living together, Garrett's commissions dried up, his creative inspiration stagnated, and he found himself settling for mediocre projects just to pay bills. Linda loved him and wanted him to succeed, but her unconscious belief system was broadcasting. Success is dangerous. Wealth separates you from authentic humanity. Simple living is more spiritual. Garrett's sensitivity to energy meant he was unconsciously absorbing these frequencies and dimming his own prosperity consciousness to maintain harmony in the relationship. When Garrett learned Florence's teaching about frequency divorce, everything changed. He began the water ritual every morning, creating energetic sovereignty while maintaining emotional intimacy with Linda. Within weeks, his creativity returned. Within months, his biggest client yet appeared. Linda was thrilled for his success, but she hadn't changed her beliefs. Garrett had simply learned to prosper while loving someone whose frequency operated differently than his. The key insight Florence offered was this: energetic incompatibility isn't a character flaw in either person. It's simply information. Someone whose frequency repels abundance might be extraordinarily gifted at creating safety, offering comfort, providing emotional stability, or manifesting other forms of wealth that have nothing to do with money. The problem arises when we try to make one person fulfill all our energetic needs, when we expect our romantic partner to also be our prosperity partner. Frequency divorce allows you to receive love from someone while sourcing your abundance frequency elsewhere, from your own sovereignty, from spiritual practice, from communities that celebrate wealth, from mentors who model prosperity consciousness. You stop trying to change your partner's relationship with money and start protecting your own relationship with abundance. This isn't about deception or emotional withholding. It's about recognizing that different people are designed to support different aspects of your life. Your partner might be your emotional safe harbor, while your business mentor is your prosperity activator. Your spouse might offer you grounding and stability, while your entrepreneurial community offers you expansion and vision. Trying to get all frequencies from one person is like expecting one instrument to play an entire symphony. Florence identified 5 distinct patterns of energetic drain that can occur in intimate relationships. Understanding which type you're dealing with changes everything about how you protect yourself and how you navigate the relationship with wisdom rather than resentment. The first type is the chronic skeptic. These partners genuinely believe they're protecting you by questioning every opportunity, pointing out every risk, reminding you of every reason why your dreams might fail. Delinda's husband, Cameron, was this type. Every time she mentioned a business idea, Cameron would immediately start researching why similar ventures had failed, how saturated the market was, what could go wrong. He thought he was being practical and protective, but his frequency was essentially, hope is dangerous. Dreams lead to disappointment. Safety comes from lowered expectations. Living with this energy is like trying to grow a garden in constant shadow. The seeds of possibility never get enough light to germinate. The second type is the perpetual victim. These are partners who unconsciously use their struggles as a way to maintain connection and avoid the vulnerability of true success. Malik discovered his girlfriend Portia fell into this pattern. Every time his career gained momentum, Portia would have a crisis that required his emotional energy and attention. She wasn't being manipulative consciously, but her identity was so wrapped up in being someone who needed rescuing that his prosperity triggered her fear of abandonment. Her unconscious message was, if you succeed, you won't need me anymore. This created a field where abundance felt dangerous to the relationship's survival. The third type is the financial controller. These partners may actually be financially successful themselves, but they use money as a tool for emotional management. Yolanda experienced this with her husband Frederick, who earned a substantial income but monitored her spending, questioned her financial decisions, and made her feel guilty for any purchase that didn't align with his approval. Frederick's energy said, money equals control. Financial autonomy equals relationship threat. This creates a frequency where receiving abundance feels like losing love or triggering conflict. The fourth type is the contagious pessimist. These partners don't just have negative thoughts. They carry a field of negative expectation that infects every conversation about the future. Roxana lived with Edgar, whose automatic response to any good news was to predict how it would probably turn out badly. When she got promoted, he worried about increased stress. When she received unexpected money, he feared the tax implications. When opportunities appeared, he focused on the complications. Edgar's frequency was broadcasting. Good things don't last. Life is fundamentally difficult. Optimism leads to disappointment. This energy is like living in a house where the windows are painted black. Even on sunny days, it feels dark inside. The fifth type is the energetic dependent. These partners have never learned to generate their own prosperity consciousness and unconsciously feed off their partner's energy. When Teresa's boyfriend Mitchell moved in with her, he started talking about our money, our opportunities, our abundance, as if her energy field belonged to both of them. Mitchell couldn't maintain his own prosperity frequency alone, so he unconsciously drained hers to feel abundant himself. His energy pattern said, I need your light to feel bright. Your success is my success. Your energy is my energy. This creates a situation where your prosperity feels like it's being siphoned away as fast as it appears. Understanding these patterns isn't about judging your partner or finding reasons to leave. It's about recognizing the specific energetic dynamic at play so you can create precise protection rather than broad defensiveness. Each type requires a slightly different approach to frequency divorce. The chronic skeptic needs you to stop seeking their approval for your dreams. The perpetual victim needs you to maintain compassion without sacrificing your momentum. The financial controller needs you to establish economic boundaries without triggering their fears. The contagious pessimist needs you to maintain your own emotional weather regardless of their forecasts. The energetic dependent needs you to teach them to source their own prosperity frequency rather than borrowing yours. Christopher found himself living with all 5 patterns in his partner Devon, who was simultaneously skeptical of his opportunities, victimized by his success, controlling about money, pessimistic about outcomes, and dependent on his energy for any sense of abundance. The relationship wasn't abusive, but it was energetically unsustainable. Using Florence's frequency divorce techniques, Christopher learned to love Devon while maintaining complete sovereignty over his prosperity consciousness. Their relationship actually improved because Devon stopped feeling responsible for Christopher's success and Christopher stopped resenting Devon's resistance. Now that you understand the basic water ritual and can identify the type of energetic drain you're dealing with, it's time to amplify your protection. Florence taught 3 advanced techniques that create layers of sovereignty, ensuring your prosperity frequency remains intact even during intimate moments of emotional vulnerability. The first amplifier is the mirror authority technique. This practice rewrites your energetic signature at the identity level, making you immune to frequency contamination. Each morning, after drinking your protection water, stand before a mirror and look directly into your own eyes. Speak these words with unwavering authority. I am the source of my own abundance. I love freely and prosper independently. My frequency cannot be diminished by anyone. The mirror reflects back your own energy, creating what Florence called an echo of sovereignty that strengthens throughout the day. Continue looking in your eyes and add, I choose who influences my money. I choose who influences my dreams. I choose who influences my possibilities. This is an affirmation. It's identity reconstruction. You're literally rewiring your subconscious to recognize you as the ultimate authority over your prosperity field. The second amplifier is selective disconnection. This is perhaps the most sophisticated technique Florence ever taught, because it allows you to maintain emotional intimacy while creating energetic boundaries. When your partner begins expressing their limiting beliefs about money, opportunity, or success, you internally perform a gentle disconnection ritual. Imagine a beautiful golden cord connecting your heart to theirs. This remains intact because it represents your love. But visualize any energetic cords connected to your solar plexus, your mind, your prosperity consciousness, gently dissolving. You can listen to their fears, offer comfort, provide support, but their frequency doesn't penetrate your abundance field. Practice saying internally, I hear your concern and I love you, but your fear has no authority over my prosperity. This allows you to be emotionally present without being energetically contaminated. The third amplifier is what Florence called sacred solitude. Every day, you must spend time in your own energy field without your partner's presence, even if it's just 20 minutes of walking alone, sitting in your car, or taking a bath. During this time, you reconnect with your natural prosperity frequency without any external influence. This isn't about hiding or escaping. It's about remembering who you are energetically when you're not managing someone else's emotional weather. Use this time to feel grateful for money already in your life, to appreciate opportunities that exist, to imagine abundance flowing to you easily. This daily recalibration prevents you from gradually adopting your partner's frequency through proximity and repetition. Amelia discovered these amplifiers when her marriage to Vincent was on the verge of ending. She loved him deeply, but living with his anxiety about money had gradually eroded her confidence in her own ability to create wealth. Vincent wasn't malicious. He was traumatized by childhood poverty and genuinely feared that financial risk would destroy their security. But his protective instincts were killing her entrepreneurial spirit. Using all 3 amplifiers daily, Amelia began to separate her love for Vincent from her responsibility to absorb his fears. She looked in the mirror each morning, declaring her economic sovereignty. She practiced selective disconnection during his worried monologues about their finances. She took daily walks alone, reconnecting with her natural optimism and vision. Within 6 weeks, Amelia felt like herself again. Within 3 months, she had launched the business she'd been afraid to start. Within a year, she was earning more than both their previous incomes combined. Vincent initially felt threatened by her transformation, but gradually he began to admire her strength rather than fear her ambitions. Learning to love someone without absorbing their limitations had saved their marriage and unlocked her prosperity simultaneously. These amplifiers work because they address frequency contamination at its source. Most people try to argue their partners out of their limiting beliefs, or they suppress their own dreams to maintain peace. Both approaches fail because they don't address the energetic reality of living in close proximity to someone whose consciousness operates at a different vibration. The amplifiers allow you to honor your partner's journey while protecting your own prosperity path. Remember, you're not trying to change your partner or convince them to think differently about money. You're establishing energetic autonomy while maintaining relational intimacy. This is advanced spiritual work, the ability to love someone completely while remaining absolutely sovereign over your own consciousness. It requires daily practice, consistent boundaries, and unwavering commitment to your own prosperity frequency, regardless of who stands beside you. Here's what Florence understood that most people miss. Creating frequency divorce isn't just about performing a ritual once and expecting permanent results. It's about establishing new energetic habits that reorganize your entire relational dynamic over a specific window of time. The 48-hour period isn't arbitrary. It's the minimum time required for your energy field to fully separate from someone else's while maintaining emotional connection. During the first 24 hours after beginning your protection practices, something profound happens beneath the surface of your awareness. Your partner's energy field, which has become accustomed to merging with yours, begins to feel the absence of your usual energetic availability. This doesn't mean you're withdrawing love. You're withdrawing automatic energetic absorption. They may not understand what's happening consciously, but their subconscious notices that their fears, doubts, and limitations are no longer finding the same resonance in you. Some partners respond to this shift by unconsciously intensifying their limiting behaviors. They might become more negative about money, more fearful about your dreams, more controlling about your activities. This isn't personal attack, it's energetic recalibration. Their system is trying to re-establish the familiar pattern where their frequency influences yours. This is actually a positive sign, indicating that your protection is working and they can sense the change. During the second 24 hours, your own energy field begins to remember its natural frequency without constant contamination. You may notice thoughts becoming clearer, decisions feeling easier, opportunities appearing more visible. This is your prosperity consciousness emerging from beneath the layer of absorbed limitation you've been carrying. Some people describe feeling lighter, more optimistic, more like their authentic selves. Others notice practical changes, ideas flowing more freely, phone calls returning their calls, money appearing from unexpected sources. The most important thing to understand about this 48-hour window is that it's testing your commitment to sovereignty. Your partner may unconsciously try to pull you back into the old energetic pattern through emotional intensity, crisis creation, or increased neediness. This isn't manipulation. It's their system seeking familiar stability. Your job is to maintain loving presence while refusing to sacrifice your frequency to soothe their discomfort. Gabriella experienced this precisely during her frequency divorce from her partner Nelson. Nelson wasn't consciously aware that Gabriella had begun protecting her prosperity consciousness, but on the second day of her water ritual practice, he became unusually vocal about a business opportunity she'd been considering. He spent an entire evening listing every possible way the venture could fail, every reason she should wait, every safer alternative she should consider instead. The old Gabriella would have absorbed his fears and abandoned her plans to maintain harmony. The new Gabriella listened with compassion, acknowledged his concerns, and then said gently, "Thank you for caring about my well-being. I've decided to move forward anyway." Nelson was surprised by her calm certainty, but he didn't argue. Her frequency had shifted from seeking his approval to maintaining her own authority. Within 72 hours of beginning her protection practice, Gabriella received an unexpected call about a freelance contract worth more than her typical monthly income. She accepted immediately, without consulting Nelson or seeking his permission. When she shared the good news, Nelson felt genuinely happy for her success, instead of worried about potential problems. The frequency divorce had allowed him to love her victories instead of fearing her risks. This window requires you to stay committed even when your partner's response feels uncomfortable. They may become temporarily more clingy, more negative, more emotionally intense. Remember, you're not responsible for managing their adjustment to your energetic sovereignty. You're responsible for maintaining love while protecting your prosperity consciousness. You can offer comfort without offering absorption. You can provide reassurance without providing frequency merging. The 48-hour period also requires you to avoid the temptation to explain what you're doing. Frequency divorce works best when it's invisible to your partner. They don't need to understand your spiritual practices or approve of your energetic boundaries. They simply need to experience you as someone who loves them without needing their permission to prosper. Your sovereignty is demonstrated through your consistency, not through your explanations. By hour 48, most people notice a fundamental shift in the relational dynamic. Their partner begins to respect their autonomy more naturally because their energy field is no longer automatically available for frequency merging. Love remains intact, but energetic dependence dissolves. This creates healthier relationships where each person maintains their own spiritual sovereignty while choosing to share their lives. The moment you begin protecting your prosperity frequency, every limiting belief you've ever held about love, loyalty, and relationships will surface to test your commitment to sovereignty. Florence called these the 7 sacred resistances, and she warned that most people abandon their energetic protection at the first sign of these internal challenges. The first resistance whispers, "I'm being selfish by protecting myself." This voice tells you that true love requires complete energetic merger, that maintaining boundaries means you don't care enough about your partner. When this thought arises, remember Florence's teaching. You cannot give what you don't have. If you sacrifice your prosperity consciousness to prove your love, you eventually have nothing of value to offer. Your abundance serves your relationship better than your poverty ever could. Replace this thought with, "I love my partner enough to remain energetically healthy for both of us." The second resistance says, "They're going to notice I'm different and feel hurt." You may fear that your partner will sense your energetic protection and interpret it as emotional withdrawal. The truth is, healthy people are attracted to sovereignty, not dependence. When you stop automatically absorbing their limitations, you become more interesting, more authentic, more genuinely present rather than less. Your partner may notice you seem stronger, clearer, more confident, but these qualities enhance relationship dynamics rather than threaten them. Remind yourself, my strength inspires rather than intimidates those who truly love me. The third resistance insists, maybe the problem is my own energy, not theirs. This doubt makes you question whether you're creating financial struggle through your own limitations rather than being influenced by your partner's frequency. While self-examination is valuable, this resistance often becomes a way to avoid establishing necessary boundaries. You can work on your own prosperity consciousness, while simultaneously protecting yourself from energetic contamination. Both approaches support your success. Counter this with, "I take responsibility for my own frequency and protect it from all limiting influences." The fourth resistance argues, "I can't prosper if my partner doesn't prosper too." This belief suggests that your success depends on their success, that abundance must be mutual, or it's somehow wrong. But Florence taught that individual prosperity often leads to collective prosperity, while collective limitation leads nowhere beneficial. When you model successful frequency management, you give your partner permission to develop their own prosperity consciousness rather than remaining dependent on yours. Affirm, "My prosperity creates space for their prosperity to emerge naturally." The fifth resistance threatens, "Protecting my energy will destroy our relationship." This fear suggests that love requires energetic vulnerability, that boundaries create distance, that sovereignty equals isolation. But relationships built on energetic dependence are fragile by definition. Relationships built on mutual sovereignty are anti-fragile. They become stronger under pressure rather than weaker. The partners who leave when you establish healthy boundaries weren't truly compatible anyway. Declare, "True love celebrates sovereignty rather than demanding dependence." The sixth resistance asks, "Who am I to demand energetic protection?" This voice questions your worthiness to maintain boundaries, your right to prioritize your own frequency, your authority to choose which energies you allow into your field. It suggests that wanting prosperity protection is arrogant or selfish. But Florence taught that every soul has divine right to spiritual sovereignty. You don't need anyone's permission to protect your consciousness, including your partner's. Assert, I am sovereign by divine design, not by human permission. The seventh and most dangerous resistance declares, we're meant to struggle together rather than succeed separately. This belief romanticizes shared limitation as proof of authentic love, suggesting that prosperity would create distance between you and your partner. Some people unconsciously choose partners whose limitations match their own, creating relationships based on mutual victimhood rather than mutual empowerment. True partnership supports both people's highest potential, not their most comfortable limitations. Replace this with, we are meant to love unconditionally and prosper independently. Sabrina worked through all 7 resistances during her frequency divorce from her husband Marcus. Marcus was a wonderful man with deep trauma around money that created constant anxiety about their financial future. Every business conversation became an exploration of potential disaster. Every opportunity became a threat to their stability. Sabrina loved Marcus, but recognized that absorbing his money fears was destroying her ability to create the abundance that would actually solve their financial challenges. When the first resistance arose, Sabrina felt guilty for protecting her energy while Marcus suffered from money anxiety. She reminded herself that her prosperity would relieve his fears far more effectively than her poverty ever could. When the second resistance appeared, she worried that Marcus would feel abandoned by her energetic boundaries. Instead, he began to admire her calm confidence around money matters. Each resistance became an opportunity to choose sovereignty over codependence, abundance over limitation, growth over stagnation. Within 3 months, Sabrina's business had doubled its revenue. Marcus, inspired by her success rather than threatened by it, began addressing his own money trauma through therapy. Their relationship deepened as each partner took responsibility for their own consciousness rather than trying to manage or absorb the other's limitations. These resistances appear to protect your relationship, but they actually protect your limitations. They arise from old programming that equates love with energetic merger, partnership with mutual dependence, loyalty with shared struggle. Florence's work revolutionized these concepts by showing that the highest form of love is supporting your partner's sovereignty while maintaining your own. Once your frequency protection takes hold, your life begins sending you confirmation signals that cannot be ignored. These aren't coincidences or wishful thinking. They're evidence that your prosperity consciousness has successfully divorced itself from limiting influences while maintaining your capacity for love. The microsignals appear first, often within the initial 24 hours. Your breathing becomes deeper and more natural, especially when discussing money or future plans with your partner. Sleep improves because you're no longer processing their financial anxieties in your dreams. Your body holds less tension, particularly in your chest and solar plexus, where energetic absorption typically occurs. Some people notice their appetite changing. Food tastes better because they're no longer consuming emotional stress along with their meals. These physical shifts indicate that your energy field is no longer automatically merging with someone else's limitations. The medium signals emerge during the second 24-hour period and involve your mental and creative capacities. Ideas begin flowing again, especially regarding money-making opportunities that had felt impossible before. Your decision-making process becomes clearer and faster because you're no longer unconsciously filtering every choice through your partner's fears. Phone calls return your calls. Emails receive responses. Opportunities that had stagnated begin moving forward again. This isn't because external circumstances have changed. It's because your energy field is broadcasting availability rather than limitation. Ophelia noticed all these medium signals during her frequency divorce from her boyfriend Tyler. Tyler was deeply pessimistic about economic conditions and would spend hours explaining why entrepreneurship was risky during uncertain times. After 3 years of absorbing his outlook, Ophelia had stopped pursuing the catering business she'd always dreamed of starting. 2 days into her water protection ritual, she received a text from her sister's friend asking if she knew anyone who could cater a small wedding. The old Ophelia would have recommended someone else. The protected Ophelia said yes immediately. That single event led to 6 more catering requests within 2 weeks. The macro signals represent full manifestation of your newly protected frequency and typically appear between 48 and 72 hours after beginning the protection practice. Money appears from sources you hadn't expected. Business opportunities emerge from conversations you'd forgotten. Long overdue payments suddenly arrive. Someone offers you exactly the collaboration you'd been hoping for. These aren't random events. They're evidence that your prosperity consciousness is now operating independently of anyone else's limitations. But perhaps the most surprising signal is how your relationship itself begins to improve rather than deteriorate. When you stop automatically absorbing your partner's fears, they often feel relief rather than rejection. They're no longer responsible for managing your emotional responses to their authentic feelings. They can express their concerns without worrying that they're crushing your spirit. This creates space for genuine intimacy rather than codependent energy management. Ruben experienced this transformation with his wife Catalina. Catalina had been raised in a family where money was associated with corruption and spiritual decline. She genuinely feared that financial success would damage Ruben's character and their relationship. For years, Ruben had dimmed his ambitions to ease her anxiety, but this created resentment and financial stress that served no one. After establishing frequency protection, Ruben pursued his business goals while maintaining emotional availability for Catalina's concerns. Instead of absorbing her fears, he listened with compassion and proceeded with confidence. Catalina, freed from responsibility for his choices, began to admire his determination rather than fear his ambitions. Within 6 months, Ruben's construction business had expanded beyond his original projections. Catalina, witnessing how prosperity enhanced rather than diminished his character, began to heal her own relationship with money. She even contributed ideas for growing the business, something that would have been impossible when her energy was focused on containing his ambitions rather than supporting his growth. The most profound signal of successful frequency divorce is when your partner begins developing their own prosperity consciousness independently, rather than remaining dependent on yours or resistant to yours. This evolution happens naturally when you stop trying to convert them to your perspective and start modeling healthy relationship with abundance. They witness prosperity, enhancing your kindness, generosity, and presence rather than corrupting your values. This demonstration often does what years of argument never could. Some partners, however, cannot tolerate your energetic sovereignty and may choose to end the relationship rather than adapt to the new dynamic. While painful, this outcome reveals that the relationship was built on energetic dependence rather than authentic compatibility. Florence taught that relationships meant to support your highest growth will adjust to your prosperity consciousness, while relationships meant to limit your potential will resist your sovereignty until they naturally dissolve. These signals confirm that you've successfully learned to love without limitation while prospering without permission. Your frequency has divorced itself from external control while your heart remains open to authentic connection. This is the mastery Florence pointed toward, the ability to maintain energetic sovereignty while participating fully in human relationship. Before we seal this teaching with the final decree, let's acknowledge the profound shift that's already occurred within you simply by receiving this knowledge. You now understand that love and prosperity aren't opposing forces. They're complementary energies that require different types of protection and cultivation. You've learned that energetic sovereignty isn't selfishness, but rather the foundation for authentic intimacy. Most importantly, you've discovered that you can honor someone's journey while refusing to adopt their limitations as your own. The water ritual you performed in the second block has already begun working at levels beneath your conscious awareness. Your energy field is learning to maintain its natural frequency regardless of who stands beside you. Your prosperity consciousness is remembering its rightful authority over your financial reality. Your heart is expanding into the truth that you can love someone completely without needing their permission to succeed. But I want to share one more story before we complete this journey together, because it illustrates the ultimate possibility that emerges when two people master frequency sovereignty simultaneously, rather than one person protecting themselves from the other. Elena and Marcus had been married for 7 years when they discovered Florence's teachings about energetic compatibility. Like many couples, they loved each other deeply, but operated on completely different frequencies regarding money and success. Elena was naturally optimistic about opportunities and believed abundance was her spiritual birthright. Marcus, traumatized by his family's business bankruptcy during his childhood, approached every financial decision from a place of protective fear. For years, they had struggled with this dynamic. Elena would get excited about an opportunity, and Marcus would immediately focus on potential risks. Elena would want to invest in their dreams, and Marcus would want to save for emergencies. Neither was wrong, but their energetic frequencies were creating constant friction that served neither of their goals. Rather than Elena simply protecting herself from Marcus's limitations, they decided to try something revolutionary. They would both practice frequency sovereignty, Elena protecting her prosperity consciousness while Marcus protected his security consciousness. Instead of trying to convert each other to their respective perspectives, they would honor both frequencies as valid and necessary. Elena continued her water ritual for maintaining prosperity frequency. Marcus began his own ritual for maintaining security frequency without anxiety. They stopped expecting one partner to handle all money decisions and instead divided financial responsibilities according to their natural strengths. Elena managed investments and business opportunities. Marcus managed savings and risk assessment. They consulted each other but didn't require agreement before proceeding in their respective domains. The results exceeded their wildest expectations. Elena's business tripled within 18 months because she could pursue opportunities without having to overcome Marcus's protective concerns every time. Marcus's anxiety about money decreased because he wasn't responsible for approving Elena's expansive decisions. Their relationship deepened because they stopped trying to make each other think differently about money and started appreciating their complementary approaches to financial security. Marcus's careful planning provided the foundation that allowed Elena's creativity to flourish. Elena's abundance consciousness provided the resources that made Marcus's security goals achievable. Instead of one frequency dominating or canceling the other, both frequencies began working in harmony toward their shared life vision. This story illustrates the highest possibility of frequency work in relationships. Not just protecting yourself from your partner's limitations, but creating a dynamic where both people's authentic frequencies support rather than threaten each other. This requires both partners to develop sovereignty over their own consciousness while remaining open to the gifts their partner's different frequency provides. The water ritual you've learned today can be the beginning of this transformation in your own relationship. As you maintain protection over your prosperity frequency, your partner may become curious about developing their own energetic sovereignty. Instead of trying to convince them that your approach to money is correct, you can demonstrate how frequency protection enhances rather than threatens love. Some of you may discover that your partner is genuinely incompatible with your prosperity consciousness and that the relationship cannot survive your commitment to abundance. While painful, this outcome creates space for relationships that celebrate rather than limit your highest potential. Florence taught that the universe never asks you to choose between love and abundance. It only asks you to release relationships that demand such choices. Others may find that frequency protection allows your existing relationship to evolve into something more authentic and mutually supportive than what you had before. When you stop requiring your partner's approval for your prosperity and they stop feeling responsible for limiting your risks, both of you become free to love each other's authentic nature rather than trying to control each other's choices. The decree we're about to speak together will seal your commitment to loving without limitation while prospering without permission. This isn't about becoming emotionally distant or relationally selfish. It's about recognizing that your frequency is your responsibility and your gift to any relationship you choose to enter or maintain. We have arrived at the moment Florence reserved for her most committed students, the sealing that transforms temporary practice into permanent spiritual law within your consciousness. This decree will establish your energetic sovereignty as unchangeable truth, allowing you to love fully while maintaining complete authority over your prosperity frequency. Place your hand over your heart now. Feel the rhythm of life flowing through you, independent of anyone else's permission or approval. This heartbeat belongs to you alone. This breath belongs to you alone. This consciousness belongs to you alone. And this prosperity frequency that flows through you, it too belongs to you alone to give, to protect, to amplify, or to share. Close your eyes and connect with the part of you that existed before any relationship, before any partner, before anyone else's voice became part of your inner dialogue. This is your sovereign self, the aspect of your being that answers to divine law rather than human limitation. From this place of ultimate authority, you will speak words that cannot be revoked, challenged, or diminished by anyone's opposing frequency. We will declare your sovereignty in 3 movements, each one sealing deeper layers of your energetic autonomy. The first declaration establishes your authority. The second establishes your freedom. The third establishes your permanence. First declaration. Speak it with quiet authority. My frequency is sovereign. My love is free. My abundance is protected. Now again, with more strength. My frequency is sovereign. My love is free. My abundance is protected. And once more with absolute conviction. My frequency is sovereign. My love is free. My abundance is protected. Feel these words settling into your cellular memory, into your energy field, into the quantum structure of your reality. You have just established spiritual law that no external frequency can override. Now the second movement, declaring your freedom from energetic dependence. I love without absorbing. I prosper without permission. I choose my influences. Repeat with growing confidence. I love without absorbing. I prosper without permission. I choose my influences. And seal it with complete authority. I love without absorbing. I prosper without permission. I choose my influences. These words dissolve any unconscious agreement you may have made to sacrifice your frequency for the sake of relationship harmony. You are now free to love as deeply as you choose while maintaining complete sovereignty over your consciousness. The final movement establishes the permanence of your new reality. I am love that prospers. I prosper through love. It cannot be otherwise. With deeper certainty, I am love that prospers. I prosper through love. It cannot be otherwise. And with the finality of universal law, I am love that prospers. I prosper through love. It cannot be otherwise. Breathe deeply and feel the shift. Something fundamental has changed in your energy field. You are no longer someone who hopes to balance love and prosperity. You are someone who embodies both simultaneously as natural expressions of your divine design. You don't need to choose between them, sacrifice one for the other, or apologize for wanting both. From this moment forward, any relationship that asks you to dim your prosperity consciousness to prove your love is revealing its incompatibility with your authentic nature. Any partner who celebrates your abundance while maintaining their own sovereign frequency is demonstrating true compatibility. You now have discernment to recognize the difference. The water ritual you learned today becomes a daily practice of maintenance, not because your sovereignty is fragile, but because living an intimate relationship requires conscious attention to energetic boundaries. Each morning, as you drink your protection water, you're not just performing a ritual, you're renewing your commitment to love without limitation while prospering without permission. Return to this teaching in 48 hours and share in the comments what has shifted in your life, your relationship, your prosperity consciousness. Your testimony becomes encouragement for others who are learning to navigate the delicate balance between intimacy and sovereignty. If this teaching has awakened something profound within you, if you recognize yourself in these patterns and feel ready to transform your relationship with both love and money, then subscribe now to continue this journey. Every video on this channel offers another key to unlocking the abundance that already belongs to you. For those called to plant seeds in this field of shared learning, you can support this work through the thanks button below. Your contribution doesn't just sustain this channel. It demonstrates to the universe your commitment to abundance consciousness, and what you give in faith always returns multiplied according to Florence's unbreakable law. You are now sovereign in love and free in prosperity. You can be intimately connected and energetically protected. You can give your heart fully and maintain your frequency completely. And so it is sealed. And so it remains. And it cannot be otherwise.